These are 10 Terraria features which are hidden, which you probably didn't know about. The first one is Enchanted sword shrines. So these are kind of like small terrain structures which generate below the surface. Now you can see here we're mining down into the ocean below, and we can just find this narrow shaft just below the ocean, and this is going to lead us into a little bit of a crevice. Now these are quite rare structures to find, but if you do find them, you'll be in luck because you'll actually find an enchanted sword placed in the stone, kind of just like King Arthur's sword Excalibur in the stone. These can also generate on the surface too, but you'll most likely find them in the underground layer. And multiple of these shrines can actually spawn in the world all at the same time. It's just your luck if you actually stumble upon them, especially because they're so small to spot. Now it actually has a 2% chance to drop the item called Terra Grim. Now Terra Grim is basically a pre-hard mode melee weapon, which is a sword, but if it doesn't drop this, which is a rarer drop, it will just drop the normal enchanted sword, which is actually a really nice sword with some cool particles, and if you get it at the right point in the game, it can be a really nice piece of loot. As you can see, it does 23 damage depending which item rarity you get. It's basically nearly as good as Star Fury, if not a little bit better. Next up are none other than Biome Mimics. Now these guys, if you find them, are pretty scary. Now these are actually rare hard mode enemies, but they can be spawned during pre-hard mode, prior to hard mode, by using the chest statue item. These are basically aggressive mobs which disguise as chests. They look like chests, they're going to peel you in because you want some loot, and when you go to take that loot, they're going to jump out and snap at you, and they have these like vicious tongues, and these guys are pretty terrifying, right? They can lunge at you. They're almost like mini bosses depending on what gear you have at which point in the game you're playing. Now you can also spawn a few different mimics manually, the rare ones including the Hallowed, the Corruption Mimic, and also the Crimson Mimic. These are spawned by using a Key of Light or a Key of Night within a chest. The next one is the Sky Lake, which is where you can actually fish in the sky, and not many people know this if you haven't done the angler quests at the end of the game. Now there's a series of different angler quests where you can catch super rare fish and do quests for the angler NPC. Now if you go up to the space layer and you go to a Sky Lake, there's some really cool things you can catch. First of all, we have the Sky Crate. So this is a pre-hard mode crate that we can actually fish up from here, and it contains normal items found in standard crates, but it also contains items found in the Skyware chests which spawn in the sky as well. So some notable drops for this crate if you fish it up is Star Fury, which is like a 22 damage sword, which is pretty cool. We have fledgling wings, a whole bunch of ores, bars, potions, and some really cool stuff. Also you can catch damselfish. So these are uncommon fish that you can find when actually fishing in the space layer, and you can use these to create seafood dinners and calming potions. Now quest fish actually caught in Terraria don't really have much use past just submitting them to the angler, right? As you can see here, no quest fish has any use beyond the angler's quest. Only the angel fish and the cloud fish must be caught in the space and sky. So this is the location where you can catch these super rare fish in the game too. These are the only exclusive fish, whereas the others can actually also be caught on the surface as well. So the fish that you need to catch in the sky are actually exclusive, which is why this Sky Lake is such a rare spot. Now people know about Sky Lakes, but if you don't do the angler quest, then you'll just be there for the loot. Now you're probably wondering why I have a ton of goblin warriors and zombies following me. Well, don't worry, because I'm here to show you a really cool item that not everyone's used. This is the rainbow rods. This is a hard mode magic weapon which launches a projectile, but not any projectile. If we launch it, it'll home in. But if we hold left click, we can actually control this, look. But like I said, this is a home in projectile, so the closer it gets, it's just completely out of your control. So if I fly over here, if it gets near an enemy, it will just automatically just home in, look. But you can also still hold it and drag it around, which is super cool. So this is like a white sparking missile. It kind of looks like a firework, and it emits this cool rainbow trail, and it's actually kind of OP. But it depends which enemies you go against, because these corruption enemies are kind of tanky. Now since this is a hard mode weapon, it actually does pretty good versus certain mini bosses in hard mode. But it takes quite a few hits to get the possessed armors down. This is the Dungeon Guardian. You may know these guys because you might have been killed by them when trying to enter the dungeon before defeating Skeletron, which is a mistake we all make, a grave mistake, when we first play the game. Now if I spawn one of these guys, they're going to try and rush me and spin towards me, but joke's on him because I've got God mode on. So I can just use my trusty rainbow rod to kill him. Except that doesn't do much, so I'm just going to kill him with Zenith. Now these guys are supposed to be extremely tanky because you're not supposed to kill them, but if you do kill them, they actually drop a pretty rare special item, which I'm going to show you. But first we actually have to kill him. Boom. So you saw I just picked up an item. This is the bone key. So now I have 2. The bone key is basically a pet summoning item that's dropped from the dungeon guardian if you're lucky enough or strong enough to kill him. If I just summon this guy next to the dungeon, it will spawn a dungeon guardian as a pet. It's like a baby Skeletron head, which actually follows the player around. It also sometimes spins its head too. As you can see, it has like a pretty cool animation. So it's almost like it's trying to kill me, but it's a baby skeleton, so it can't really do any damage to me. One more interesting thing is the advent of some custom seeds, which not many people know about. So if we go to single player now, and we go on a character, and I create a brand new world, you can see we have input seed. Now there's a secret world seed, which you can type in, which I'm going to show you right now, which is actually the date of Terraria's 9th anniversary, and it will create a world with a very unique layout and some Easter eggs too. So I'm just going to call this world meme, just pick a random fitting name, and I'm going to paste this seed in here, 0516-2020. You probably don't know what that means, but basically if you generate a seed from 0516-2020 to 516-2020, it'll create, let's just say, quite a random world. Now already you can see that the text is literally just a jumble of random numbers as it loads, and there's a random smiley face in the background. Pretty sure the smiley face isn't normal, and this random number generation definitely isn't either. So let's go on our meme world and let's explore. Okay, so we've now entered our world and we have an achievement, a rare realm. Some very special seeds can lead to unique and rewarding experiences. Can you find one? So you'll get this like super secret special achievement. Now when we also spawn, one big change which you'll be confused about is when we spawn, the guide is no longer here. We basically see that the party girl has replaced the guide. The first NPC you're going to see is the party girl, and she's going to be selling things like all these confetti guns and bubble ones, which is kind of a little bit trippy. Let me show you some of the other changes that spawn in this world type. So both ore variants spawn in this world, so instead of just copper or tin, we get both of them spawned at once. There's a new dialogue for the guide, changes to the arms dealer's loot. Living mahogany trees now generate anywhere underground instead of just in the jungle, which is going to be kind of weird. Also, previously rare items, the Moonlord legs, which is kind of like a vanity accessory, which is technically an armor, and also this red potion, are now found in chests in this world with a pretty low drop chance. There's so many other things like changes to the underground desert. Beehives are much larger and have bigger spawn rates dependent on the blood moon, and have multiple larvae, so that means I think multiple queen bees. The underworld's layout is inverted. Both oceans generate with an ocean cave, and gem trees are also more common, and glowing moss biomes have a chance to generate below the spawn area in the cavern lair, and scaled up enemies are slightly larger and scaled down enemies are slightly smaller. So this is just like a trippy world. Now they refer to this as the drunk world seed because it just makes everything just so weird. There's also some changes here to the surface as well, so it's a pretty weird seed. If you pause the video, you can just like see some of these changes to like the evil biomes and much more. You definitely need to try the seed out once. Now there's also a special in-game event which not many people know about. Now if we go to an enclosed space below the surface biome and we start placing torches, we can actually summon something called a torch god event. Now we need 101 torches in close proximity to actually begin this, so literally we just have to spam torches. You might actually need a series of platforms when spamming these as well. And you just have to place as many torches near each other as possible, and you can summon this event. The easiest way to do this is just summon loads of platforms, and then just place torches on top of them. Now we're going to need quite a few rows here, because we need to place this whole lot of torches to get this to work. Okay, let's spam torches. Now you can see once we've done that, it should summon the Torch God event, where we basically have these torches that are firing at us. Now, I have God mode on, so obviously this isn't going to be hard, but you have to basically dodge a cluster of projectiles, and if you survive, you basically get an item called Torch God's Favor. Now, these projectiles don't actually come from enemies, they just come from all over the place, so you just have to dodge them and not die for the time limit, and you'll basically get dropped an item. Now, you'll get this item as a drop if you complete it, the Torch God's Favor. It basically unlocks an ability where, when enabled, normal torches can change color based on your biome. So now I've activated it and we've got achievement Torch God, and we've invoked the wrath of the god of torches and survived long enough to earn its blessing. So now technically when we place down torches, they'll now copy the color of the biome. So these were the normal orange torches we had before, but now, using this new item, we just place down torches which are blue, which match this glowing mushroom biome. It's kind of useless, it's just a cool vanity item, but not many people know about it. There's also a special event which is quite new, and it's called the Sandstorm. Now, Sandstorm is a randomly occurring desert event, which only spawns when the speed of the wind is 48.2 miles per hour. Now, during this event, a few rare enemies spawn that are usually found in the underground desert biome, using usually not found in the surface desert, as well as things like angry tumblers, and if you're in hard mode, mobs like sand elementals and those pesky sand sharks can spawn as well. So this is a really dangerous event. You can see these sand elementals and those angry tumblers spawning. And also if you're standing in the desert whilst this event's active, you'll also get a debuff called the Mighty Wind, which basically inflicts you when you're not standing in front of a background wall. Now these are less common events if you haven't defeated the Eye of Cthulhu, but they can happen before, and they're basically random, right? But even though this event's pretty hard, you can also get some really good loot if you manage to complete it, because these mobs drop some pretty cool stuff. For an example, we have these nachos which drop, which are food. We have sand shark kites, shark fins, and also forbidden fragments, which you can use to create some really cool vanity items. Next up is the Frostmoon Event. Now the Frostmoon Event is a hard mode post Plantera event, and this is perfect to mention it right now because I'm recording this video in December. This is a Christmas themed event, and you need to summon it using the summoning item called the Naughty Present. This will basically be used at night time, and the event ends at dawn of 4:30 a.m. This is summoned basically any time of year. You don't need it to be the Christmas season when you summon this, like a lot of Christmas style events. A whole lot of different highly difficult enemies will spawn during the Frost Moon. Now this is very similar to the Pumpkin Moon event. In fact, I think it's actually modeled off it, and it has bigger waves and slightly more content than that event though. Now the moon will turn into a snowman head, which you might not notice from the footage, and there's a whole bunch of enemies which spawn. You have things like present mimics, like what we mentioned earlier, those chest mimics, but present versions. We have gingerbread men, zombie elves, nutcrackers, yetis, Krampus spawns as a mini boss. You have elf helicopters, flying snowflakes which can damage you, huge Christmas tree bosses, mechanical Santa bosses, and also the Ice Queen boss too, which I believe is the final boss of the actual wave. Now you can see some of these enemies here in this list, and you can also see some unique drops like this elf armor set. You can also see there's some pretty cool weapons like the Christmas tree sword, certain trophies, a Christmas hook grappler. You can get things like the chain gun, the toy tank, which is only if you play in the event on master mode, and some really cool things like the snowman cannon. There's a whole bunch of different event themed items you can get, and this is definitely really worth playing right now whilst on our lead up to Christmas. And then the last one is this little item over here, which is called the Rod of Discord. Now not everyone would have used this item, especially in vanilla, but if you've played the Calamity mod, the chance that you've actually used the Rod of Discord is pretty high because you need it to spawn the adult Eidolon worm boss. Oh, okay, I've just got a random achievement. Encounter a fairy. Okay, little sidetrack there. Basically, the Rod of Discord teleports you to the position of the mouse, but where it says it causes the chaos state, this is because it gives you a debuff. And in the Calamity mod, the chaos state debuff is what spawns that underwater boss that I mentioned. Now, teleportation is disabled whilst the chaos state is active though. So, if I show you this item whilst we're underground, and bear in mind that this is a hard mode tool, let's just left click with our cursor, and it'll teleport us to that point. But you can notice now I can't reuse that whilst chaos state's active. So once it goes, I can then reuse it again, and then we've got like 5 or 6 seconds of chaos state. So this has like a 5 or 6 second cooldown, but it basically has a teleport on cursor feature, okay, which is really cool. But I do have to mention though that even if we use the camera to zoom out, you can only teleport to what's actually in your vision, okay. If I zoom out a lot with my camera and I try to teleport into this black box up here in nothingness, it doesn't teleport in there, it just gives me the debuff. It doesn't teleport in there, I have to click on the screen where I can actually see. Survive the character's first full night. Okay, we're getting a load of random achievements while we're doing this. This doesn't actually require any mana or ammunition to use, so it's actually a pretty cool item. You just need to wait for the cooldown. Now, if you want to get this item, basically it has a chance of being dropped by this certain mob in game, which is called Chaos Elementals. So this is these guys. You've probably seen these annoying guys before. Just going to spawn loads of them. They probably won't end up dropping it, but I just want to show you what these guys look like. They actually die pretty quickly, to be honest. I think I'm actually just... they're either teleporting or I'm just killing them with a basic sword. But yeah, basically those guys have a chance to drop the Rod of Discord. But it's a really rare drop. And they're also really annoying because they can teleport all over the place. But those hard mode mobs which I just showed you, they can spawn on pearl stone, pearl sand, and pink ice blocks anywhere in the cavern lair, as long as you've got to hard mode. And that's 10 hidden Terraria features which you probably probably didn't know about. Now, if you've been playing the game for a long time, you probably know all of these, but if you're a new player, there's at least 1 or 2 on this list that you probably had no clue about, especially the little events like the Torch God event. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash the like button and comment any other hidden or lesser known features about Terraria which should have been on this list that I completely forgot about, and I'll try and put them in the next video. And make sure to subscribe because I'll be bringing out some brand new Minecraft mods and Terraria mods videos in the next few days. Thanks for watching.